We are back, guys. They tried to tear us down, but we came back twice for you guys today because we had to. They may have tried to take away our stream, but we made another stream for you guys for our Oscars watch party, and now we're back to talk.
And it's doing pretty good. It's at 121 views.
That is really good. That's awesome. So thank you all for watching. And now we come back for Mega Movies After Dark. Oh, shit. Wait, no, never mind.
After Dark is right.
After Dark, but yeah, it is After Dark because it is 12 midnight where we're at. But we did this after show the same year, the Coda year and everything. And, you know, I think through our previous years, we're like, we'll just wait the next day and discuss it, you know, but I feel like it's fun to kind of talk about it while you're still in the hype of what just happened and kind of stay up and have a after show for you guys. So this is kind of our season finale of this entire thing. It's all been culminating to this. The Oscars have just happened, and we're here to break down the categories, talk about the winners, but also just to talk about the show itself, talk about how the host was, talk about some of the other show aspects that they did, and see what we thought overall of the Oscars. But we'll just kind of go around the room, and I'll just ask you two on what y'all thought of this year's Oscars as a whole. What did you think, Tristan?
I thought it was a good Oscars. Conan put on a very good show as a host. I think he kept it very lively, and they did a good job of bringing in all these musical numbers to keep it kind of energetic. I especially like the Bond musical number. It highlighted a lot of the great Bond numbers of the past. I will say, I think in terms of the actual winners, they played it pretty safe. There wasn't any truly big surprises. There was maybe like one or two categories that were surprises, but that's okay, I guess. But yeah, in a year with so many outliers and so many possibilities, it was a bit of a disappointment to see one movie kind of sweep the whole show, but it wasn't a worthy movie, so I'm not super disappointed to see it happen. But yeah, I'm excited to go through the categories and talk through all of them. A very good show, filled with very good movies, so it's going to be fun to talk about, but it would have been fun to see them spread the love a little bit more than just Anora. But in the end, Anora is a deserving movie, so I can't be all that mad about it.
Exactly. What about you, Ross?
I thought that, like, there wasn't really, as Tristan said, but, like, this was, it seems like, okay, it seems like, this is like, it's getting easier and easier to predict the awards because there's so many guilds that people have complained about too. Like, so what's going to win here, what's going to win there. There's really no more room for surprises, I think. But still, like, I'm happy that I number one, it felt like a Best Picture winner. Like, that or The Brutalist, it really did, So, yeah. This was a fun award show, and then, and plus, the fact that, we didn't know who was going to win some of the major categories was the fun part about it, too.
Yeah, that was the fun part about it. But I do agree with you, Tristan, that it did get a little, repetitive there towards the end. But at the same time, I'm not mad because of how much of a celebration this was, not only for Anora, which was a very well-deserved movie, but also for indie film as a whole. This was a very strong showing for indie film. Indie film came out on top a lot because with animated feature, an indie film won, with Best Picture, with all these other categories.
International feature, you can see I'm Still Here as an indie film, especially compared to the big Netflix monster that was kind of dominating the whole award season. You kind of figured it was going to keep dominating, and then lo and behold, I'm Still Here comes out at the last second and says, no, we're winning. So, yeah, a good night for indie film. For sure.
How many of the animated film this year, were indie films? I think only... I forget, though, because was Memoir of the Snail an indie or no?
Oh, yeah. Memoir of a Snail is definitely an indie film. Yeah, it's a great one for sure. Yeah, Yossi says, what a night for indie movies. Completely agree. Also says, so glad to see you back. So glad to see you back too. Yeah, while we may not have had Fernando Torres, which by the way, if she would have won, not only would I threw my headset and ran around the room, I would have cracked open a beer and I would have gone Stone Cold style, been like, and like sprayed it all over my jacket, all over my shirt. It would have been a complete mess. It would have been wild and insane. And y'all now don't ever get to see that because
but see both of us kind of like priming for a second. Like both of us are like getting ready to be like, oh, this is gonna be if this happens, it's gonna be a big one. And like we underplayed our reaction a little bit because oh man, it wasn't Torres, but at the same time, like it's still a great win, So that's gonna be a fun one to talk about too.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
the only thing I'm afraid of, I know that Mikey Nass has the talent, right?
Yeah.
But could she have peaked maybe by winning the Oscar so young? Because sometimes, not always, the young Oscar one won't do anything after that.
Maybe, but I don't know. I feel like this is gonna help boost her career a little bit. Just because I see because of where her career was prior to it. The fact that her first major thing that we all saw her in was in a Quentin Tarantino movie was insane. Which, by the way, yeah, Conan, great host, loved him, loved some other aspects of the show throughout. But how dare, all right? Y'all give a fucking standing ovation to Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg when they come out and all that shit, but you don't give a standing ovation to the GOAT of filmmakers, the greatest of all time with Quentin Tarantino. Come on. That was probably the biggest letdown of the entire night was just seeing that. But yeah, agreed. Really, really good night overall. And there is some interesting stuff that I do want to talk about. Apparently they forgot three actually huge names in the in memoriam. This was just announced that they ran the list of people they forgot. Tony Todd was not in the in memoriam.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah. Tony Todd was not in there. Bernard Hill from Lord of the Rings was not in the in memoriam. And then the girl who just passed away the other day, Michelle Trachtenberg, was not in the in memoriam. So
that's rough. She was more of a TV actress, I guess, but you could have gotten it in there.
Yeah. She had Harriet the Spy, which is a movie and such. So you could have gotten her thrown in there.
It's not bad. That movie's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but I think the biggest loss was not having Tony Todd. I don't know how they forgot that, how they just completely glossed over that. That's insane to me. So there was kind of stuff like that. And then there was a few other mistakes here and there. Some people went on for way too long when they were talking, like Adrian Brody, for example.
He was going for a while.
He's what caused the show to become a 4-hour long show tonight because his speech was 6 minutes. It was insane. But on top of that, you had really great wins, some really predictable wins, and at the end of the day, yeah, they kind of spread the love. The only film that I felt really sorry for because it was nominated for so many places, and again, we predicted it would go 0 for 0, was a complete unknown. It was completely unknown whether it was going to be 0 and 0, but now it definitely is. It's 0 for 10 actually because 10 nominations, no wins, and Sean Baker has now set a record where he is now the only human being to ever win the most Oscars in one night because he's won 4 Oscars in one night.
Oh yeah,
it's a cool record because it's like people call it an Honora party, but really it was like a Sean Baker party. I think it was. Yeah. We've liked this guy for a while. He's kind of been on the outside of the Oscars, kind of trying to get in for a while, trying to make his movie that takes off, and this was the movie that took off. It was been the front runner essentially the entire year, and since the film festival debut, people were pointing to Honora, saying, "Watch out for Honora," and all these other outside shots were, "Oh, maybe this, maybe that," having all these like calculated reasons for why something else could come in. But in the end, it went to the movie that was the front runner essentially the entire year, right? And I think that shows that sometimes all of this complex logic of like, well, the momentum is this way for that movie and this way for that movie. In the end, it might not really matter that much because it's going to go back to the movie that's been there this whole season, which is Honora. And Honora has not missed at really any of the award shows in terms of showing up. It hasn't won every time, but it showed up all the time. And yeah, it was Sean Baker's night. Everybody who won from Honora thanked Sean Baker and said I couldn't be here without Sean Baker. So yeah, Sean Baker won tonight. It was a big win for him.
Yeah, it was. And then they also said when Tarantino came to present the director award, I said, okay, an indie king is passing the torch. And then EDM says Tarantino presenting best director to a first-time nominee. That had to hurt. Yeah.
And he'll get that.
Hopefully for his final movie, if he ever makes it at this point.
I don't believe it. I do not believe it. Okay, Gene Hackman is the outlier. Usually whenever somebody says, like, oh, I'm retired, they usually come back.
Daniel Day-Lewis, right now, he seems to be retired.
No, remember he's doing a movie.
He is?
Yeah.
It's like his son's movie or something like that.
Oh, yeah, his son's movie.
And also, too, there's a rumor about him being in Scorsese's movie.
Yeah, but that's if Scorsese makes it. Like, Scorsese's so old. He's got a Mob Boss movie coming out. And then he's got
like 5 movies in the works right now.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like that's if he makes it. Like we'll have to see. Hopefully he can. But so I guess we can just kind of go through the wins and then talk about after the wins like any other highlights that we want to discuss. But the very first win of the night was supporting actor, which, as we all expected, went to Kieran Culkin. There was no real surprise there. That was, if anybody would have taken the prize, I think it would have gone on record for the biggest Oscar upset in the history of the Academy Awards. Like, it was that predictable.
Yeah, okay, let's also add a fun caveat to this, too. Who do you guys, in all the categories, who do you think was number 2?
And number 2 on that category? I think at this point, number 2 was Yuri Borisov.
I do too. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, because of how well Honora did. I think Yuri Borisov was actually number 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think Honora had such a big night, but it would have been a huge shock. Kieran Culkin was sweeping the whole season, and yeah, like you mentioned, he just had this all year, and it's deserving because I don't especially expect him to be showing up like every single award season in the next big awards contender. This was kind of like his moment. He either wins here or he doesn't really win because he doesn't seem like the guy who's going to be doing, Scorsese leading roles or anything like that every single year trying to get the awards. Like Timothée Chalamet, for example, feels like he's going to be here essentially every year for his entire career trying to get the win. Whereas Kieran Culkin, this is like his shot, so I'm happy he won. He gave a good speech. You can tell he hasn't, done this a lot. He's not one of those ones that gets up and gives this big, huge rehearsed speech with the lines exactly how he wants them to be. So it was a fun win and a movie that deserves to have him show up here.
Oh yeah, too. And then also too, like this. Actually, I wanted to save the story until he won. I forgot to tell it. He's gonna have another kid. You know why? He says after the Emmy win, we're walking through a parking lot, and then his wife goes, "Oh God, I did say I'd give you a third kid after you won the Emmy, right? Guess I owe you a third kid." And he turned to her and said, and then like he said, "I really want 4." And she turned to me, like him, and said, "I swear to God, this happened just like over a year ago." And then she said, "I'll give you 4 when you win an Oscar."
Oh no! So there you go. He's now gonna have a 4th kid. have a fun time being a parent to even more rambunctious children, Kieran
Oh yeah,
Culkin.
too.
But
Plus, like I disagree with you. I don't think that this is Karen Culkin's only shot. I could see him acting like getting a few more like Oscar roles and stuff, and then but you're Borisov. I think this was his only chance.
Oh yeah, him for sure. He's probably not
yeah,
going to be showing up anywhere.
Do you know what I compare him to though? In a way, too, is like 10 years ago with that Barkhead Abdi.
I was just about
What
to
did he
say
do
that
then?
Barkhad Abdi. Yeah, I was just about to say because Barkhad Abdi was nominated for the Oscar, and then he just kind of went nowhere after that. So we'll see. But yeah, I think Yuri Borisov. This is like his one and only chance. Edward Norton's gonna have plenty of other chances too. Like he's somebody who has been nominated several times. The Academy loves him. One day he'll win. I think for sure. He's probably the second best actor right now, working without an Oscar on his mantle. But he'll definitely get one. One of these days for sure.
Shame to see Jeremy Strong lose. You know, he didn't have a
Yeah.
shot, but that was a great performance. And I think in any other year that would have been the
Tried
front
so
runner.
hard when at the scene at the end. He was so good. So yeah, I would have absolutely loved to have seen Jeremy Strong win, but Hope Dicting did pull through for me because the next category after that, they awarded Best Animated Feature. And I have been telling you guys since I saw it in October, I have saying, guys, there's a passion, a love for Flow, unlike other movies. It is happening, guys. It is happening. It is happening. I kept on saying that. And then once it happened, that was the one time he did see me fully grab my headset and like throw it down. I was so excited, so happy. And because of that, thank you, Flo, because of that little win, I have won the Oscar ballot. When we were doing our Oscar prediction stream on Saturday, the overall tally number was Tristan and Jonathan Caro tied with 16. Ross had 15, and then I had 17. So thank you, Flo. Because of you, I was able to beat them by 1 and get 17 in there. And yeah, really, really great win there that night. And another really great celebration of independent cinema with Flo. So Kieran pulled a plumber, only Best Supporting Actor winners with Best Picture nomination in the expanded area. Yeah, true. But yeah, Tristan, I know you're kind of pulling out your hair right now over this, but
yeah, this is a bummer because I changed that very, very late, and like my heart was saying Flow, but this is one of those categories. There's a couple of categories tonight where you got to kind of believe in the momentum, and I think you can go back to which movie's bigger, which movie has the higher push, but I think Flow showed that if the movie is as talked about and as acclaimed as it is, it's gonna win. And I think also a problem for this category was that there wasn't really Wild Robot was very acclaimed, but it wasn't really like talked about to the level of any of the any of the other movies. And I think if something like Wild Robot was being talked about in a little bit more, it would have won. But there wasn't a huge level of like studio competition in this category this year. There wasn't something like a Toy Story or anything like that where you're like, oh, that's winning. So Flo had a good year to come in and win here. But yeah, I'm happy for Flo. I can't complain at all. Sure, I lost this category and it ultimately lost me the show, but this was not the only category where I ended up changing my mind at the last second and then regretting it a couple hours ago. So yeah, happy for Flo. I'm really happy to see 80 Cinema win tonight in the animated feature. But yeah, I'm bummed I lost, but I can't complain too hard.
Oh yeah, and Ross, I know you're also happy that Flo won tonight.
Yes, it's because like Flow, I just thought was a masterpiece. Like I think it was
Yeah.
was my favorite of the animated category, but a slight second was like Memoirs of a Snail. But still, like this was a good animated category, and then like yeah, so
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a awesome anime category. I loved it, and I would have been happy with either one of these winning. My heart, my passion was there for Flow, and I kept that passion going, just like I kept the passion for I'm Still Here, and it did pull off at one point some of that passion there. So I just sometimes people have this passion that just drives them, and people will call me crazy, and all of y'all who have called me crazy for me like coming out of the film festival that I saw Flow at in October and saying that like this is gonna win best animated feature. Oh my god. Like all of y'all who called me crazy over that, y'all are now eating your shoes. All right. So there you go. I just want to point that out there. I told you so, guys. I hope dicted and it paid off. So really happy about that. And then, of course, when it comes to also animated, I didn't really do well on any of the shorts categories. Those were the things that really killed me, killed my ballot and everything. But Tristan at least did get one short right. He got the only girl in the orchestra. Oh, wait. Which one did you predict?
Remember, I picked I'm Not a Robot.
Oh, yeah. I think you... Oh, yeah, you did pick I'm Not a Robot. So yeah. So wait. So that makes it.
That ties us, I believe.
That makes it. Yeah, that makes y'all then tied because that makes 16 then for us. So yeah. So that's 16 for him. So yeah, I'm Not a Robot. I didn't get any of the shorts right, but I did. I was really happy that I'm Not a Robot one because that was my favorite of the live action shorts that I saw. Like I really loved it. That was a big surprise. I think even they were shocked by that. Like they thought Aileen or like The Man Who Could Not Be Silent was going to win. That they were even shocked with like you could see their reactions coming up on stage and such. Like the look they had and just yeah, it was such a cool and unique kind of short film that I was thrilled when it won, and like we talked about, there wasn't really many surprises. Like Flow winning, I don't really consider that a surprise. It was like it was a nice little victory, but I wouldn't say it was surprising because I feel like for some it was because everyone thought like started thinking the Wild Robot was going to take it. So I guess you can kind of count Flow as a little bit of a surprise. But like the biggest real surprise was I'm Not a Robot. I think like a lot, like people had that like number 3 on their list. I don't think I saw anyone else except for Ross have that number 1. So kind of congratulations, Ross, and also congratulations to I'm Not a Robot. And then yeah, Only Girl in the Orchestra. You had that one, Tristan. I tried to predict the Incident short because I thought I was hoping the Academy would be cool, and they were pretty cool by picking like Anora and a few other films, but I guess they weren't cool enough to pick for that category. So so they
What?
That's why they went to Only Girl in the Orchestra, a decent short, and then the animated one. We all predicted Wonder to Wonder because that won the BAFTA. And then it was like In the Shadow of the Cypress that won. So
that was not on my prediction sheet for sure.
Yeah, so that was also the biggest. That was also both In the Shadow of the Cypress and I'm Not a Robot. If we had any big, huge surprises, those were the 2 biggest surprises of the night for sure. Because people were predicting, if not Wonder to Wonder, then people were predicting Yuck. That like short film to win. So kind of surprised with those results, but overall, even though I got them all wrong there, yeah, I'm happy there. But we can move on from those because I know we haven't really seen a lot of the shorts, but
No, there's not much to say about the shorts, and a lot of times it's just kind of guessing, because
Yeah,
you can go by precursors, but not on a lot of the categories. So it's just kind of vibes, you know. Every year I end up getting killed by the shorts. I feel like.
yeah, yeah. Every year it's like, because even the year where I got like 22 right or 21, yeah, I had 21 right. The Coda year, and I was the only ones I got wrong was actress because I was trying to root for Penelope Cruz, but then also I got one short wrong. I actually got the other two shorts right, and that like helped. But I got one short wrong, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I got that wrong." And so it kind of ruined uh, my ballot. I could have been like 22 for 23, but yeah, that was still a really good year for me. But but yeah, shorts. We don't have a lot to talk on there, so we can move on to another one. We can just we go very quickly for buys that we predicted that both costume production design would go to Wicked. They did. That was expected. I don't think there was really. This was going to be the only two Oscars Wicked won. It did win that. I missed out on the Wicked performance at the opening of the ceremony because I was trying to solve the technical difficulties. Fuck you, Disney Plus, for advertising that the Oscars were going to be on your service, and then also like fuck you to Hulu for completely being all glitchy and I couldn't even like log in and all that crap. Like, come on, like y'all needed to prepare for this. Y'all should have known. Like, no, there's no excuse. But
Nope.
yeah, this I do wish I could have seen that opening performance, but I am happy that they pulled off the victory here. I think that was a worthy win, even though I was rooting for like the Brutalist or Conclave. I still think that was a worthy win at the end there.
I can see it being very frustrating if you're the Wicked people and you are the movie of the moment that's being talked about making so much money and holding up the industry for so many months, and then yet when the Oscars come around, you can't really win anything beyond just you looked good, essentially, you know. And I can see that being pretty frustrating. And someone like John M. Chu who says, "Look, I brought together this big, huge spectacle of a movie, and why am I not at least being nominated for this category?" And this performed very, very similar to Barbie, where it got a couple of the wins it was expected to get, but it didn't really do super, super well. And I could see this frustration starting to kind of grow of these female skewing populist movies that are getting shafted every single time once it comes to the awards night. And you can argue about is Wicked deserving of more awards than this, but I think there's going to be a level of discourse in the next few months about like why did Wicked not do better here? And I think there's going to be a lot of speculation about like is it because it was a female skewing movie and people tend to like dismiss those as like not as important as stuff like that leans towards the male demographic. But I don't know if that's true because is Anora a male demographic movie? It might be, but I don't know.
I don't.
I mean, no, I don't think it's led by a female, but the rest of the cast are all male, basically.
But still, like yeah, but get to like I remember, like when Tony first time watched them, like the scene like where she's eating, like in the strip club, he's like, I would not be eating in there.
Oh, yeah, no, that's for sure. But
next year will be a good year for Wicked, I think. But I do wonder how it's going to go in terms of people receiving the fact that Wicked didn't do super well tonight.
I do love one thing I really loved about the Oscar ceremony as a whole that we didn't really talk about was I was telling my friend this who was there with me tonight that I loved how they were showing like behind the scenes stuff of each of the films. So when they would pan over to like a best director category, they would show like the directing process of what the directors are doing. When they would show the best makeup and hairstyling category, you would see them actually applying the makeup on people. And then when they went to best production design, you would see what them building the production and what went into it and all that stuff. So it's like I loved how they actually appreciated the filmmaking process in the little vignettes that they would show for each nomination. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, better than just showing a couple of clips. It was showing everything that went into it. Conan made a point of like, we're not just here to celebrate the faces and the famous people and the rich people. We're here to celebrate everybody who went into making this medium work, down to the craft people all the way down the line. And I think these highlight reels celebrated that by showing everything that goes into making this movie, everyone who isn't on camera, everyone who puts in work to making the substance look as good as it does and then doesn't get the fame for it. So yeah, a good choice to highlight stuff outside of just the montage. I also would have appreciated some context, like somebody from the film comes out and says the substance is this and this and this, and here's the substance. They've been doing that every year so far when they do this. Give like a 30-second intro of why this movie matters, and then here's the movie. I think that would have helped a lot, because just here's a couple of clips in the movie, it's kind of like okay, but giving somebody some context of like, okay, what is Nickel Boys? What is this about? Why should I care? Because people are going to be watching this that haven't seen any of these 10, or like have seen like 2 of the 10, and you got to tell them why does this movie matter, and I think that highlight is your chance to show people why does this movie matter, and an intro would have helped that a lot.
Oh yeah. They have not confirmed that stunts will be next year. I hope so. That would be great. But yeah, I am excited for next year for first time award for casting. Yeah, that would be really cool. See how they implement that into the Oscars. But moving on, we have our next category, which was we could talk about best makeup and hairstyling very, really quickly, which of course, as expected, went to the substance. There was really no surprise here. This was the most predictable category of the night. This was
deserving.
This was the one I would have, if I had to place money on any category. Like if someone actually was telling me like they were super confident in any other film winning other than Substance, I would have fully placed money and said, all right, $50. Let's do this. Like Substance is winning. Like it's this, yeah. Like maybe even 100. Like this, I was very confident. So very happy that Substance did walk away with something. It would have been a tragedy for it to not have any wins, but I'm glad it was able to walk away with something. And at least, yeah, it's like the same old thing where horror only got appreciation and makeup and hairstyling, like The Fly or like American Werewolf in London, like in the past there, but at least horror.
Even The Whale is kind of a horror adjacent.
I mean, it's got some moments, I guess, but
like I said, it's horror adjacent.
Yeah, my big takeaway is that it's kind of a bummer that the Substance didn't do better than just this one category. Because everyone was like, "Oh, horror is back at the Oscars. Horror is back at the Oscars." But in the end, it only won this one single category, and I hope that it did start a trend and we start seeing more horror show up and just more genre stuff in general show up. But I wish it could have won like just one more category to really solidify it as like a true trendsetter and game changer. But to just win this one category, I wonder if this may be a sign that the Substance is more of just like a fluke than an actual trendsetter. Look at this one. It did really well. Not really a beginning of a new trend for the Oscars.
I would say if The Substance was the only horror movie nominated in multiple categories, but Nosferatu was also nominated in multiple categories. So I think that this could be the beginning of a trend.
Yeah, I'm hoping. We'll have to see if there's another horror movie that comes out this year that
I don't think
really
it made.
knocks the Academy out off their feet. Because I mean, hey, at this early in the year, we didn't think The Substance was going to come out and do what it did. You know,
We didn't even know that the Substance, to be fair.
Yeah, so that's the thing is, so for all we know, there could be another Substance that comes out in this year and completely rocks our world and just gets nominated for Best Picture and all these other categories. So we'll have to see. But
Yeah,
I
at
hope,
least for predictions, you gotta like not factor genre in as much anymore, because I think
yeah,
people are seeing more and more and stuff that's outside of the like typical genre norm. You know, especially as the Oscars gets a wider and wider voting body. Like when more people are voting, it's just more likely that stuff like this is gonna make it in. You know, when you have younger voters, people with more diverse tastes, you're gonna pick up stuff like The Substance that you wouldn't otherwise pick up.
yeah, very true. And then um, moving on to the category of we can do Best Documentary. A lot of people thought that Porcelain War was going to take it last minute. Again, I had that heart pick, that passion pick. I said, guys, I kept saying it since I saw it in like November or December that No Other Land was going to take Best Documentary. I've been saying that. And in the end, it did. Because here's the thing. Yes, it's political. Yes, it's got that political divide and all that stuff. But I feel like with this film, once people see it, they know that this is a film about coming together, about camaraderie, because it's the two opposing sides, Israel and Palestine, working together to actually grow a friendship and to have that kind of like development to make their country a better place. So they're and so I think that people were kind of overthinking it, and especially because they were like, oh, he hasn't won any precursors really, and it's like, yeah, but the fact it was nominated for BAFTA and Porcelain War wasn't, like, really, we're gonna just say Porcelain War wins now because of DGA win? Like, really? Is that the only reason why? Like, I don't know. I didn't see enough there to really back it up. I think that it was definitely a worthy win too. I think that this is a documentary that it needed to win in the climate that we're in right now. And yeah, they gave a great speech too. I thought it was really awesome. So, what do y'all think of the documentary?
Yeah, as much as I enjoy Porcelain War, it would have been embarrassing for anything other than No Other Land to win this award tonight. So I'm glad that it did win. And yeah, they gave a great speech. They were heartfelt. They were passionate. They weren't just bringing up politics to try and get, points on social media or whatever. They're bringing up politics because it's relevant to the movie that they made and it's relevant to their life. And it makes sense to bring it up in the award speech. So yeah, I think they gave a good speech and a very, very deserving award. So I mean, I'm glad that this won too, because it'll go down in the history books. It'll be given distribution. It'll be kind of put in the archives, to so to speak. So more people are going to see this than they would have otherwise. And a movie that had no distribution, no real shot to be a big release, had this big release purely because it was that good and it was that timely. So it's a true victory for indie film. We say that all night long, but this, more than any of the other ones, really is an indie film victory. Like, Sean Baker's been doing this for so long that, like, he is indie, but he also has a brand to himself. But No Other Land has nothing to go off of. Like, these directors have no history to go off of. They have no, previously acclaimed hits. They're just going off purely the quality of the movie, and purely the quality of this movie is what won this award, and it's what won this award all year long. So this is a true victory story. So it's something to celebrate for sure. And as much as the topic is dark, I think the fact that this won so well all year long is something to celebrate.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I know that you were one of the ones thinking Porcelain War would win, Ross, but no other land pulled it off
But
in
I
the
did.
end.
Okay, I had like 2 ballots, and I picked Northern Land on my other ballot. Because I did with my friends too, and I did better on this one. But I picked.
Yeah, yeah, and it was, but it was still really uh, a good pick overall. Talking about victory stories, well, a huge victory story happened for Brazil. Y'all can celebrate. Y'all can still have your moment in the spotlight because I'm still here. Pulled it off. One of the biggest highlights of the entire night for me was to see them come up on stage and accept the award for Best International Feature. I've been rooting for this movie since October. It's been in my top 10 favorite movies of last year for a while, or at least right outside my top 10. I absolutely adored it. And I really was rooting for Fernanda, but I knew if she wasn't going to win, then okay, at least give me international feature. And they did. And I honestly thank you, Carla, for giving me the backlash, because I feel like without this would not have happened. But now I am appreciative of the backlash, so this could have happened. But I will say, Carla was there, and they full on showed her on camera. They literally panned the camera right up to her in the audience while she was clapping at one point for
They
Zoe.
they showed her.
Dude.
They showed her more than they showed Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. Honestly.
Yeah. I was like, why? And they were doing a few claps when they did show Zoe, when they did show Carla's clip, which was kind of surprising. But yeah, what do we think of the "I'm Still Here" victory?
Okay, look, I went against my heart and I voted for Amelia Perez last night in the predictions, and I stand by the prediction. But in the end, it was foolish. I'm Still Here had so much momentum going into tonight, and this is a very cool victory because it didn't show up anywhere until here, right? And it shows that the Oscars can be like, you know what, this movie actually is very good, so let's just give it a win. And it doesn't really matter what the precursors say. It doesn't really matter what every other show tells them to do. The Oscars will just be like, you know what, we like this one. And it's fun to see the stat experts be thrown off by something where, oh, what about the precursors? Oh, what about the math of it won this and it won that? In the end, if the momentum is there and at the right time in the right moment, it doesn't matter what the stats say. It just matters what people liked. And yeah, of course, the Amelia Perez discourse is the reason that this movie won, right? If it wasn't for that, this absolutely would be Amelia Perez's victory. But if Amelia Perez is going to falter, I'm really happy I'm Still Here is the one that came in and won it because it's a much better movie, and I'm happy to see it win. So I cannot complain at all. Rest in peace, Amelia Perez. You were my baby for a little while. I was happy to ride that train for a couple of months, but Carla had to go and crash that train. We were almost there, and then she had to go tweet. Come on. We had this. We had this in the bag. We had this category. We had score. We had editing. Editing was going to be Amelia Perez's category. There was so much editing. Come on, Carla. We got editing, Carla.
Y'all could have maybe even had picture.
We had it was going to happen.
I know. But then Carla had to go and ruin it. But at least the better movie came out on top.
That was true. It was a worthy sacrifice because a lot of better movies won in its stead, so I can't complain.
Oh yeah. What do you feel about the "I'm Still Here" victory, Ross?
I actually think that this is the most important movie because I had no idea about the history of Brazil or anything, and if you actually read the history too, it's actually a lot darker than you would think. The movie is dark, but do you know why it's dark too? I mean, the real history. Do you know why too?
Why?
The U.S. government helped pay for it.
God, yeah.
But yeah,
this movie shows you just how corrupt shows you how corrupt all of our government is. But
like this movie still, like I wouldn't, like I'm happy because like I don't think that like Amelia Perez is an awful movie. I think it's just bad. So yeah, I'm happy that I had an actual good movie won here.
oh yeah. EDM says he agrees with you. He says, yep. Perez had editing, maybe score, maybe director. He had my vote as the veteran in the category. So
Everybody talks about career wins and overdue achievements and stuff like that, but Jack Gaudiard, he really had a narrative to himself too. If he would have been able to handle that, like he's been working for a long time, so maybe he'll come back. He could come back.
it could be. It could. Speaking of career wins, we can move on to talking about the win for Zoe Saldana. She had not only a career win, but that was also your huge win for Amelia Perez. And Amelia Perez also did win too. It also won for Best Original Song, which we also did expect. Not really a high bar. None of us liked. Oh, well, I know Tristan liked the song, but the rest of us didn't like the song. My opinion, the worst best song winner of the decade so far. But
oh boy,
it's but again, it was not really a high bar. Like this is a category looking at best original song that if Kiss the Sky from the Wild Robot and like Harper and Will Go West from Will and Harper was in this category, yeah, I would be crying about it tomorrow. The fact that it won. But because it like those songs were not nominated and Amelia Perez beat out songs that were very weak, I'm not going to be like crying about it tomorrow that like Amelia Perez won this category. But yeah, what are we feeling about some of the Amelia Perez wins here tonight?
happy to see it. She was deserving, and the movie has a lot of problems. I'm not going to absolutely deny that in any way, but I think she was great in it, and I think she had so much energy, and she was so vulnerable. She was the lead, but I don't really care super much about like category fraud. In the end, it's not really about is she a lead, is she supporting. It's about is she giving a good performance, and I think she gave a great performance. I think she was very deserving and carried a lot of this movie on her back. And speaking of El Mal as well, I like El Mal. I'm glad that it won. Not a great lineup of songs. This category can be great some years, but this year was not a great year. It was an okay year. Like I don't hate a lot of the songs on this list, but there's no songs on this list where I'm like, that's going on my Spotify playlist. I'm listening to that song all the time. None of these songs I'm going to listen to ever again after right now. Like I listen to them in the context of are they going to win the Oscar, and I'm never going to listen to them again. Like I may listen to the Amelia Perez soundtrack someday or something, but I'm not gonna go back and be like, what I'm listening to is that Elton John song from that really not very good documentary that came out that he got nominated for. No one's gonna listen to that song again.
You know what I'm
a
going
weak
to listen
category.
to? I'm going to listen
I
to
love
The
Amelia.
Journey from 6888. Oh yeah, let me put that on my Spotify.
Do people listen to Diane Warren? Like, does anyone go like, what? I'm gonna go look up Diane Warren songs right now. I just want to listen to a Diane Warren jam. Like, does anyone ever be like, what? Let's pick up the next Diane Warren album real quick. Let's throw on some Diane.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anyone utter that since. And I think Diane Warren's, honestly, I could see her going her whole career without ever really winning an Oscar.
No, I think they'll eventually throw her one.
Maybe.
Because remember, Roger Deakins was like 0 for 14 or something before he got his.
That's true.
I think if she's gonna win, it has to line up where she's doing one for like a front runner, like a Nolan movie or something like that. Like if she goes and does like the Odyssey original song or something, she may end up winning. But if she keeps doing all these like random movies that show up for no reason other than her being there, like she's not gonna win off of Flamin' Hot. She has to win off of something that's actually gonna win other awards also.
Yeah. It's or like applause, tell like woman, one of these ones, like yeah, she can't be making these songs where the only nomination it gets is for best original song. She's got to have more juice to her. But I know you and I were not fans of Amelia Perez Ross, but what did you think of the wins tonight for it?
I wish it would have gone over. It would have been surprised because like the Color Purple holds the record for the for the most like Oscar losses, and it should have been Amelia Perez. But Lisa Dunn, I guess, was good, but I don't know.
Yeah. And hey, I mean, at least she is an Oscar winner. She's deserved to be having this kind of accolade to her now for a while, and she can finally
I looked
say
up
she
too.
does.
I looked up how many Best Picture nominees, like she's done a song for Diane Warren.
Yeah.
0
For Best Picture nominees.
Yep, she's done 0 songs for Best Picture.
Does not surprise me.
Yeah, that's what she needs. If she does any level of an actual contender, she'll win. Like she does an Amelia Perez, like something that won't win Best Picture, but that will be there in the fight for it. She'll win. But you can't do random shit that no one's watching.
No,
Sorry to you, Diane.
Her two best songs too were 96 and 98 when she nominated back to back. She also wrote "How Do I Live" from Con Air.
Oh yeah.
And then also "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" from Armageddon.
Oh, and I don't want to miss a thing.
How does that not win? Come on.
Oh yeah,
give her that one.
Yeah, that's like that. Okay, maybe there are people who say like, you know what, let's jam out to Diane Warren, because I could see someone do that with the Armageddon song. Oh yeah,
She's got Armageddon 2.
Armageddon 2, yes. That's when she's gonna win, is for Armageddon 2. There we go. So speaking of 2, that's a good segue, because now we can talk about the only 2 wins for Dune Part 2 with visual effects and sound, which we pretty much predicted that's what was going to happen. We were pretty spot on there. We thought maybe a Complete Unknown could surprise in sound because it won like the American Society of Sound, but once Dune won the BAFTA, I was like, yeah, it's pretty much over. And like, again, with like that in a category sort of like how they do like most editing, they like to do like most sound, what had the most of all that, and yeah, it definitely had the most sound. So the fact that it won sound and won visual effects was not a surprise, and I was happy to see Dune walk away with something.
Yeah, I agree. And people were saying, "Oh, but what if this and what if that happened?" And like, sure, maybe what ifs, but like, there was really no other what if. And I think the only other what if would have been if any of these other movies were like true front runners for Best Picture. Like if Anoa was like a big visual effects or sound contender in this category, like maybe that would have won over Dune. But none of these others were really front runners. Like sure, they were in Best Picture also, but they were like just as low as Dune was on the list essentially. So yeah, and you walk away, like I said, from Dune remembering the visual effects and remembering the sound. You remember the theater shaking and your seat exploding behind you, and you'll remember a couple of the jaw-dropping visual moments, even if you don't remember like anything that happened in the plot at all. Even if you forgot every Timothy line, you'll remember, but like some of those jaw-dropping shots were so good. People jumping across the sand, and the sandworm coming out of the dune was just incredible. So yeah, it deserved both of these wins. It deserved a few more wins, but like, yeah, I'm happy to see it at least get something. It would have been very, very depressing if it missed out here. But I also want to bring up, people keep talking about this myth of, when the next part comes out, though, it's gonna really win. It's gonna sweep, and like this was Dune's ending part. Like there is another Dune coming out, but this was the end of Dune. So this whole idea of, oh, hold out for the second part, hold out for the ending, hold out for this, then it'll really win. Dune 2 did way, way worse than the first one, significantly worse than the first movie did. So I don't think you can really, unless, especially now, because franchises don't really end anymore. Like franchises always go on forever. If this was advertised as the last Dune, the end of Dune, Denny's gone, maybe it wins more categories, but Denny's coming back for the next one, and they're already talking about another one after that with another director. Like this is a franchise that's going on forever. So this idea of, oh, once the end comes around, the ending is going to win. Nothing ever ends anymore. There's no endings to anything. So like I'm just not sure how we can go by the logic of that anymore.
Yeah, because like there's a TV series right now too. So
and there's a video game in the works too that's coming out. So
and, like, did they announce too? Like, did they announce like not just multiple seasons of the new Dune series, but new Dune series in general? They've announced like 3 to 4 new Dune series too. I remember reading that.
Yeah, I think they wanted to have do several like spin-off kind of shows and such. So yeah, but I will say I don't think sequel-itis in the Oscars is necessarily much of a thing anymore, because people are like, oh no, look at it, it's going to be like the Two Towers, blah blah. Oh no, this not like, it's still won 2 categories. You saw like other sequel movies come out, like Avatar: The Way of Water got in for fucking Best Picture, and then Avatar 3 might get in for Best Picture. Wicked for Good might get in for Best Picture. So it's one of those things where, honestly, is there really sequelitis when now sequels are starting to creep into these major categories and actually look like possible contenders? Like, not really. So
I don't know, because sequelitis seemed to kill Dune Part 2. Like Dune Part 1 did so incredibly well, Dune Part 2 did not. And Two Towers did super, super well. This is not doing Two Towers numbers. This is doing way worse than Two Towers did. This is not Two Towers performance. This is an underperforming for Dune. This is a bad night for Dune. Like, we're forgetting the fact that Dune did very, very poorly this entire season.
That's true.
Do you know what I think it more is too, though? Too, in my opinion, too, it's not sequelitis at all, Tristan. You know what I think it is too, though? Early movie-itis.
Yeah.
Early movie-itis, because it came out way too early in the year.
Yeah, the March release date hurt it. Like, I think for something like a Wicked for Good coming out in November and like an Avatar 3 coming out in December, those are your sweet spots that you need for those sequels to really do super well. So moving on, we can talk about, I'm trying to look at what other categories we haven't discussed yet. We have not done Best Adapted Screenplay. So this was one that also was very easy to predict. We thought maybe at some point that Conclave was going to win editing. That was not the case, but it did end up going to Conclave for adapted screenplay. So at least it still did win something, and it was definitely very well deserved. What'd you think of this?
I was happy to see it win. It's not my favorite movie of the year, but in terms of taking a book and turning it into a movie, it's like, one of the biggest accomplishments of the year in terms of that. And I really think it's a great tight script that is tense and funny. People are talking about how funny it is. I think that's something that gets forgotten a little bit, how just like laugh out loud funny some of the lines in this script are, and delivered in that like cold way where it's not presented as a joke, but it's just funny and how serious it is. And I think a lot of that comes through in the script. But a good win. It's probably a deserving win. I would have loved to see Sing Sing win this. I'd love to see Nickel Boys win this. Those both would have been, I feel, more deserving wins than Conclave. But good for Conclave, I guess. I would have loved to see it do more for my prediction side, but yeah, not my favorite movie of the year. I'm happy that we're never going to talk about this one again or think about it again.
Yeah. This is one of the winners. I think that years from now, people are really not going to look back on.
People will say, "What the hell is Conclave?"
Yeah, they're going to say, they're going to be like, "Oh, you know what I could really go for is a conclave," and they're going to go grab themselves an ice cream cone. That's all that's going to.
But it does make me excited, like, for the director's next movie, because he's 2 for 2 for me.
Yeah, Edward Berger is a really good director, and I knew that once he was snubbed for director, I knew that, like, yeah, this is not going to look good for Conclave. But one film that did definitely look good. I'm trying to see if we're far enough to talk about the sweep that happened. If there's any, I'm trying to look and see if there's any categories that
I cover anything that wasn't part of the big sweep.
Yeah, trying to look for anything that was not.
Like, okay.
Oh.
Also,
Actor.
too, and then there's
we talk about
too.
actor.
Yeah, actor.
Okay, like how Tristan like compared this to like Everything Everywhere All at Once, like Honora, but also too, I can compare it another way too. Okay, Brendan Fraser and then what's he called?
We'll talk about that.
Adrian Brody. They are lucky that the films that beat their movie for Best Picture. I know that Will wasn't nominated for Best Picture. Did not have a leading actor in them because they would have won Best Leading Actor if they had a true leading actor. I think.
Yeah. For
Does that make sense or not really?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, because Adrian Brody won essentially because Honora was a female-led film that didn't really have a male lead. So I see that absolutely. And Adrian Brody was great in The Brutalist, though. I think he deserves this win for sure.
Oh no! I think it's him. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
You could feel it in the room too. Like people really wanted to see him win. People were so happy when he was up there cheering for him, yelling stuff out, really living for that moment. And I think he's shown this is an example of somebody who can do something wrong in Hollywood and then actually do the work and spend the time to better themselves and find their way back in. And people now love Adrian Brody. I think that's obvious that the industry loves Adrian Brody now. He had to put in the work. He had to show that he wasn't just posing for the cameras and saying, "Look how sorry I am." He was actually being sorry, and showing that he can be apologetic and he can work his way back up into the industry. And this is an example, I think, for people in like the post-cancellation era of how do we find our way back. A lot of people out there now are trying to figure out like, how do we find our way back in? And this is how you do it. You just be humble, accept your faults, and then kind of just work your way back up again. Start going back up the ladder. It's going to be demeaning. It's going to be embarrassing, but you're going to get back up there. Just, be humble. Accept that you made mistakes and don't just try and say, "Oh, yeah, but this, yeah, but that." Actually do the work to find your way to be better in the industry, and you can find a way back in. All these excuses of I've been canceled, I've been this, I've been that. You can still do it. Just try, don't just keep making the same mistakes and wondering why nothing's getting any better for you.
Yeah. Just at least show
and
the
also too, I looked up how long his speech was. His speech felt a lot longer than it was.
How long was it?
7 minutes.
7 minutes, that's so long.
That is a fucking long speech.
But it felt longer, didn't it?
I wonder if that goes on record for the longest.
Also, too, also I remember, I already told this joke, but I still think it's funny. Is this old review show called Spill.com? They reviewed the movie, Predators in 2008, I think it was, right? Isn't that when it came out? The movie Predators with him.
Yeah, really.
And
really
then the opening shot, is of him falling from the sky and crash landing down on a planet. And they say that is his career post Oscar win.
You said it was what, 7 minutes, the speech?
Yep.
That is absolutely the record for the longest Oscar speech. According to Wikipedia, the previous was held by Greer Garson at the 15th Academy Awards. She went on for nearly 6 minutes. So going on for 7 minutes is over a minute longer than the previous record, which was a very long time
I'm
ago.
rounding up, but still, I think it, because it says it was like 6 minutes and 40 seconds, so that's close. And then oh wait, no, the official Oscar thing actually has it at 6 minutes and 53. So yeah, it's close enough to 7, right?
Yeah, it's close enough to 7. But it beats the 6-minute record by like a few seconds. But yeah, that's
I'm now looking at the Wikipedia page, which has been updated in the last like 30 seconds to now say the longest verifiable Oscar speech was given by Adrian Brody at the 97th Academy Awards after he won the Best Actor for The Brutalist. So history was made tonight for the longest award speech.
Oh yeah, did you guys see what happened on the red carpet though?
What?
Halle Berry kissed him.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, and I'm glad that even Halle Berry was able to forgive him after the fiasco that happened, and now she kind of laughs about it, and yeah, this is a really great comeback narrative for him because he's not really been a lead in the that much in the limelight. Like he's been, other than Wes Anderson movies, he's been doing like straight to home video. Like he did that one movie called.
And also, he had a guest role in Succession.
Yeah, and also in Poker Face. So he was like in a few TV series here and there where he would have a guest role, but for the most part, he was in either straight to home video movies or was doing like Wes Anderson stuff, and he really didn't have like his huge career again, like he did after The Pianist. And now that he's won 2, Adrian Brody's still at a young age. Do y'all ever see him tying Daniel Day-Lewis's 3 Oscar wins one day?
Yes and no. It's because yes, he'll tie him, but no, it won't be. I do not see though a third best lead actor. I can see him sneaking and supporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure he wins again. I think this is his Twilight win, and essentially, like, he's gonna win here, have his big moment, and then have like the rest of his career in the sunlight. Being loved by Hollywood, being able to do roles he actually wants to do, not having to take shovelware type roles. It's gonna be a good rest of his career for him, but I don't really see him showing up again here. Like maybe way down the line, but I just see him happily, now working in Hollywood the way he wants to work rather than purely for the paycheck because it's all he can really do. But I'd be happy to see him back again. But my feeling is that he's going to kind of drift away from these types of movies and go into more smaller roles, which I guess does lean towards Ross's. He'll show up in a Scorsese movie in 20 years and win supporting actor. And Scorsese will be, 100 something directing the movie. But I can see it happen. But I also feel like he can kind of just fade away.
Or something.
Do you know do you know which is 2 directors I'd love to see him work with, though, actually, honestly?
Who?
Okay, Quentin Tarantino.
I was just about to say Quentin Tarantino would be a great one.
And then Robert Eggers.
Oh, yeah. That would be really good.
Yeah, I think he'll fade back into like those bit parts, like he was doing for Wes Anderson, showing up for a scene in Tarantino, a scene in this, a scene in that. Everybody goes, "Oh, it's Adrian Brody. We love that guy," and we are just happy to see him. But I don't necessarily know if he's going to be like a leading actor winning Oscars again.
During his speech, he gave some of these looks to him too, and like some of these faces on him that made me think that, like, if he was a little younger, I would say Adrian Brody would play like a good Wolverine and like the MCU and such. I think like
or
he
maybe
kind of has that look.
Do you know what's a role I could actually see him doing really well too in a comic book movie though?
What?
Two-Face.
Yeah, I could see him doing that really well. Honestly, like playing Harvey Dent, I could see that totally working for him. Speaking of, Acres of Movies asks what our favorite joke was today during the ceremony. My favorite joke. My favorite joke. One of my favorite jokes was Adrian Brody's speech, where he was like, "Look, I've done this before. Okay, I know what I'm doing." Gotta say, because he's like already knew he won for the pianist, and he made that little jab. I also loved, speaking of Scorsese, the joke that Conan made after he advertised that thing. I forget what it was called, but he was like, yeah, thank you for Martin Scorsese for being there. He actually has his own cut that's 6 hours long, and it is, and it's like super violent and all that. Like, I thought that was really, really fun. So, and then of course the costume design joke too. That was funny. That was one of my favorite joke bits, was where Bowen Yang comes out dressed in costume, and like everyone else was like, "Oh, you didn't hear? We all changed our mind on that," and it was like really funny. So, yeah. Do y'all have any standout jokes from the ceremony?
Yeah. Mine was the dark AI joke that Conan O'Brien said.
Yeah, I was gonna give the same one.
Oh, which one was that?
Like, he was like this. He was like, "No, we did not use like AI during this show. We used old-fashioned child labor. And yes, we lost little Timothy Chalamet, but now like everything is okay."
Oh my god, yeah. And hey, speaking of Timothy Chalamet, he may have lost this Oscar, but I have a weird prediction for Timothy. I think that Timothy is going to become the new Leonardo DiCaprio.
I can absolutely see that.
I think that it's going to be one of those careers where eventually, just like Leonardo DiCaprio, eventually he does win, but he wins like way later in life, and it's going to be one of those things where it's like for the wrong performance, where it's like everyone else is just super weak, and he just so happened to be like the strongest in the category, and that's why he ended up winning. And so it's just like kind of out of sheer luck, just like Leonardo DiCaprio. So I think that he's gonna.
My favorite joke of the night was when Conan said that Honora used the F word 479 times. That's 3 more than a record set by Carlos Sofia Gascon's publicist.
That was really good.
That was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I also liked when he said, "Carla, if you are going to tweet about this show, my name is Jimmy Kimmel."
that was it. That was the tweet that was made during the show. Said.
Yeah, I said, "Carla, if you're going to live tweet this show, my name is Jimmy Kimmel."
Oh, if you're going to live tweet this show, that was a really good one.
But yeah, the F word joke was one of my favorites, and yeah, that child labor joke was pretty good. Conan was a good host. He was able to put jabs in there and keep it exciting, throw in some numbers, but he wasn't necessarily super present. I think a lot the big musical numbers kind of, in a way, took away from some of Conan's bits. I would have liked to see some more like cutaway gags with Conan, see kind of like a Clueless Gamer type of Clueless moviegoer type of thing, maybe something like that. A little bit more would have been nice. He was there, but I wish he was a little bit more there.
Yeah, speaking of Conan, though, I just realized there was a missed opportunity too. Andy Richter wasn't there.
Yeah, that could have been really fun.
No, because like those two, they were basically like okay, Conan O'Brien and like Andy Richter are almost having like Laurel without Hardy.
That's true, because I mean they did for years. They did their their late night talk show together, so people were used to seeing them together. But now Conan's kind of has distanced himself a little bit from Andy, just because he does that travel show now. That's like Conan by himself, and he does, and he also does like his podcast now, like Conan Needs a Friend, that he does, and it's got like one of his writers, but like that's who he does the podcast with. So it's or one of his producers that was from Conan or something. But yeah, he doesn't really have Andy on as much stuff anymore. You'll have Andy on the podcast every now and then, but they're still good friends. It would have been nice to see him like pop up in there. But yeah, I still loved the joke. I do agree, like a Clueless moviegoer thing where he's like watching one of the nominees or whatever, or maybe like, you know, says a joke about, you know, bullshitting that he's seen like all the nominees, and when we all know he hasn't.
How funny would it be to see Conan's reaction to The Substance the first time he sees it? You know, you tell me you don't want to see a live, like, cut of Conan seeing all the gore scenes of The Substance and being shocked beyond his mind.
Michael, like,
and then him
like,
watching Demi Moore naked, like you know, reacting really funny to like Demi Moore being naked.
You missed it, Mike, though, too. You missed one of the best jokes of the night, too. You know, like when you're technical difficulties.
Oh, really? Which one?
He actually was in The Substance.
Oh my god! Yeah, I'm gonna have
to. What happened though? Literally, he literally climbed back into her to grab his shoe. No, he literally put his body back in there.
Takes the substance, and Conan climbs out of her back, and he's like, "Oh wait, I lost my shoe inside there," and like sticks his hand back in there, crawls back in her back, and is reaching for her shoe. It's pretty good.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm gonna
have to look that up now, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to. I might be in his opening monologue. Hopefully, that's there when I can look that up, because yeah, I gotta. I missed a lot of the beginning.
It made more sense him like going after the shoe than Boba Fett did going back inside of the Sarlacc to go look for his suit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was pretty bad, but. The big victory of the night, we could talk about it now, was 5 out of 6 wins for Honora. Sean Baker making history, being the only human being in all of Oscars history to win 4 Academy Awards in one night. I think he holds the record now for the most Academy wins for one individual person in one night. So that is also some history that was made. Very well deserved. He made all the speeches, all the best speeches came from Honora, because Mikey Madison, you know, she also gave her dedication to sex workers again after she won. And then also you had the great Sean Baker speech. That was my favorite speech of the night, where he honored theaters. You know, he had his amazing Independent Spirit Award speech where he honored independent film, talked about the state of independent cinema, and then now he talked about the state of theaters and how important theaters are. And you can see in the back, Quentin Tarantino had a huge smile on his face, because Quentin Tarantino just recently, like, he loves the theater experience, and he just recently was like saying, like, what the fuck's a movie now? You know, you put your movie out just to be playing in theaters for 2 weeks, for it to be on streaming right afterwards. It's like I didn't go into this business for diminishing returns. And you saw like how disappointed Quentin Tarantino was. He was very based for saying that.
And Tarantino loves indie theaters. He recently bought the Vista out of total shutdown, because the Vista is an indie theater in Hollywood that I went to all the time. He'd been there a handful of times while I was there seeing stuff. He loved the Vista, and during COVID it shut down and it seemed like it was going to be gone forever. And Tarantino said, you know what, I love going to that theater, I'm just going to buy it. So he just like bought the theater. You know, he loves indie theaters. So yeah, I'm happy to see him during that speech. I was thinking of Tarantino for sure.
Yeah, and then that whole, you know, like, and then that most like famous theater in LA, in my opinion, is the Cinerama Dome. That thing closed down during COVID too.
Oh, yeah, that whole theater unfortunately shut down and closed.
No. I think they're reopening it though.
That's cool. But yeah, I love that speech, because we are at a state in our lives now where more than ever we need theaters to be successful. We need indie theaters to be successful. And while it's great to have films, independent films like Anora, which technically did really well at the box office because it made 40+ million on a $6 million budget. Probably one of the lowest budget films to ever win, if not the lowest budget film to ever win.
It's that and Moonlight. That
and Moonlight. So yeah, those two for sure. But also just the fact that we don't really have like the fact that so many theaters are failing and only these big films are doing well. It's just really unfortunate, but at the same time, like, at least there are films like these big blockbusters to at least help push the theater medium closer. Because I remember when Licorice Pizza was coming out, Paul Thomas Anderson made a whole interview not actually bashing comic book movies. It was No Way Home was coming out like either like right before or like right before Licorice Pizza, and he was like, I celebrate that. He's like, I'm good with that because that's going to help the theater, and then people are going to leave that theater and they're going to say, what else is playing there? Oh, look, Licorice Pizza is like playing. I'm going to come back to the theater to see Licorice Pizza, and it's going to be able to help people want to explore even more movies having something like that. So I'm just hoping that we can have a state where I know theaters are eventually going to go away, but like I hope we can make it to where they last as long as possible, you know. And I thought this was a really beautiful celebration of the theater going experience of indie films. I really just loved to see that, and I'm glad Sean Baker had his time.
Yeah, it's a scary time for indie film and for theaters when so many indie movies are just released on the scattershot streaming platform, drop some random week on Netflix or on Hulu or on some other platform, and you might watch it and it might be amazing, but the odds are no one's going to really watch it. And when you watch these movies, it's shocking how many very, very high quality films are just completely thrown to the wolves and never seen. Stuff that if given a big proper theatrical release, I'm not saying it's going to have an Anora run like this, but I'm saying it could have been something bigger than it is. And it's scary when all we really seem to have in the theater side of things is franchise films, but not just Anora, but The Substance was also a big victory this year in terms of making a ton of money and getting a lot of award attention while yet being this truly independent movie based off of nothing, starring, people who aren't necessarily the big award contending people. So I'm really happy that both those movies did well. But yeah, especially for Anora, it's a good win as well for films that are about people who are different than you. And I think film as a medium can be so powerful in allowing us and forcing us to empathize with people who are living different lives than us. And especially in times right now where we're entering very divisive, very charged times in this country, especially because Anora is about the American dream and about that American struggle. And I think it's an important win because like I said, it's about people different than you. So it trains you to empathize. It trains you to see other people who are also trying to struggle in America somehow and figure out the way to do it and find a way to relate to those people, even the killers, even Borisov, even people who you would think aren't deserving of your empathy are in the end just people trying to do their jobs and trying to make it through the day and go home and smoke a joint and chill, and I think that's something Anora did so well is everyone's just trying to make it through the day and go home. So, have some empathy for everybody around you, and see movies that are about people who are different than you. See movies about people who have lives other than your own. Don't say, oh, a sex worker in New York, that's not my life. I don't want to watch that. Watch it and learn to see other people's lives. Film can be a medium that trains us to see the world through other people's eyes. And Anora is a beautiful accomplishment of that, of making you see the world through her eyes and empathize with her struggle and her beliefs. And I really enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah,
and I hope it opens up the doors for indie cinema.
I just found out some news too about Sean Baker, though. Okay, Florida Project coming to 4K.
Oh, good to see.
Ooh, I don't
That'll
own
look
that yet,
good.
so yeah, I definitely have to buy that on 4K. And now that Honora, guys, has won Best Picture, I will be receiving in the mail a Criterion 4K. Has to be 4K. Criterion 4K Blu-ray of Honora. I'm letting you. I'm patient enough to wait for the 50% off sale, but yeah, now you have to buy me the 4K because of our bet. So
Yeah, I stood
yeah.
for my bet. In the end, if I had backed off and went conclave, it wouldn't have mattered. So congratulations to you. You believed in Honora while I doubted Honora. So now you're gonna get Honora, and I'm happy to buy that for you. Yeah, a good win though. Happy for Honora. Happy for Sean Baker. What a good night for them. And yeah, Mikey Madison to win for actress. We kind of skipped over her specifically, but she gave a great performance. So energetic and so transformative. Her voice and everything is so different than what her character is. And
the ending too. That ending.
That ending, that last shot at the end where you really get a look into her inner self for a second is just so powerful. And I can't wait to see what her career looks like now. It's not always great to win the Oscar early in your career. Sometimes I can like derail your projects, but I don't really see that happening for her. I think she's very beloved. Everybody seems like she likes her and is rooting for her. So I'm so excited to see what she does next because yeah, she's one of the breaking biggest voices right now, right? Like she is now essentially one of the biggest names of her entire generation.
Yeah, and like and such a good thing for Mikey Madison because she carried the weight of Honora on her shoulders. We were talking about how like Fernanda Torres, like that's why she was also like, I believe the runner up, honestly, was because of just the way that she carried that film on her back and got it to a Best Picture nomination and a Best International Feature win. I think it's like the same way with Mikey Madison and Honora, where she campaigned her ass off. And I mean, campaigned her ass off. And it was all just her. Like, it was all, like, she was carrying the weight of it. And I'm so happy that campaign pulled off for her. So,
yep, she was.
Yeah,
yep, yep.
And yeah, a really great Oscars, guys.
It was a fun night. It was not surprising in all the categories, but that's not always bad. Sometimes the best movie just wins, and we were all trying to come up with calculations for other things, but in the reality coming into this, it was going to be a Nora's night. I don't know if it was going to be a Nora's night all the way down the line like this, but I'm happy for it, and I can't believe we're already going into next year's Oscar season. This was a great season. There were so many swings and so many, crazy moves. In the end, it came down to the safer bets, but I think this is going to be a season that changes the discourse forever now. Like, there's always going to be, oh, but what about I'm Still Here? Oh, what about Fernando Torres? And as soon as you start thinking, well, somebody hasn't won at every single other show, they're out. What if they're not? And I think a season like this that has so many upsets and so many surprises at the nomination level is a great for all awards seasons going forward because it's going to make all of the discourse more exciting. It's going to open up the potential for a lot of other outside nominees to come into the discussion. Sure, the winners weren't the most exciting thing at the Oscars, but I don't want to get past the fact that the nominations and the whole entire season was just a great ride with a lot of surprises. Stuff like the substance that has no right being at the Oscars is at the Oscars.
And people say like Oscars don't matter. I'm thinking though, and they actually do it because like they can make and break careers in a way too. Because like, I hate to say this, so like, do you think this could really kill Carlos Gusman's career? I think it.
I don't think it's the Oscars that killed it. I think it's everything outside of it.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think it definitely did, but I'm extremely happy for Anora in the long run, and just for independent film, a great victory for Sean Baker. It was his time. I'm glad you got your time, man. But
I'm excited to see what he has next. I'm not sure what he has cooking, Sean Baker. But
you know, I'd like to see though. I'd like to see him try. Like a but like I think that I'd like to see him do something different too. I mean, like I know it's something different. I mean, like a 3 hour, like long historical epic or something.
Yeah, or like maybe like a horror movie from like Sean Baker or something.
Yeah, he's done a lot of like, outcast person down on their luck has their one shot to make it. Are they gonna make it? I feel like I've seen him make the movie like 8 times or something like that. So he's got to do something a little bit outside of that. But he's great. He does that great, so I can't really complain. Every time he does it, it's good. So I'm not really that mad about it. But it would be fun to see him break out of that and do something outside of that realm.
Oh yeah, Ari says he should do a musical. That's pretty cool. I could see
that'd be cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I think that would actually.
Like I felt that like the Oscars had a missed opportunity, like win like a number one Best Picture because they didn't play the song as they were walking up.
Oh yeah, that would have been nice. So we may be done with this season, guys. This is the end of this season, but we are still gonna come back, maybe even early. Maybe our real like bonus finale episode would be like visiting early Oscar predictions for next year, like this early in the month of March, just because it would be fun to start it this early and then look back at how wrong we are.
That would be very fun
for the predictions and such.
Because like I remember, like a few years ago, like I was pretty accurate, but like I was like also like deadly wrong, only because it wasn't really my fault. It's because like it was like right in the middle of the COVID years, so we didn't know what movies were going to get moved or anything at all.
Oh yeah, that's very true. So
because I remember like 3 years in a row, I think it was like 2 years in a row now, I was actually picking Brendan Fraser for The Whale to win Best Actor.
Oh yeah,
remember it was moved a lot
for sure. So yeah, guys, that'll
do the season. It's end to end it, but I guess that's our season.
That is our season, and but
we'll be back for season 5.
It's been our longest season to date, our biggest season to date. Thank you all. Like our videos did really exceptional this season, so thank you all for tuning in and helping us get to this like milestone. It's Awards Roundtable has been growing. It's been reaching more people, and here's hoping for a big season 5 coming your way. So
a lot of great movies coming up. It's going to be fun the next few days to get together my list, because as soon as this season ends, it doesn't really end because you just move on to the next one. As soon as this stream ends, I'm probably going to pull out my phone and start going through the list of 2026 and putting my predictions together. So
and honestly, too, though, like I also think that like we don't really know what's going to be nominated this year. I mean, next year, it's because like we're really thinking that like Anora was coming out, because like usually the film that they say are released, like there's nothing about them. If you look in the future, like in the future with like IMDb and stuff, they won't have any info, so you really don't know what they're about yet.
Yeah. So yeah, and so now I'm gonna start probably while I'm like in bed tonight, dozing off, about to go to sleep. I'm probably gonna just like go through Awards Expert and just start putting in on my 2026 tab for the Academy Awards and such. So we already know that there's going to be a few front runners, because we got like new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, we got Wicked for Good, we got the new Avatar, we've got Life of Chuck, which won the People's Choice Award, stuff like that. So we already know there's going to be a few things. But we'll have to wait. It looks like it's going to be a really good year. So we'll definitely let y'all know more about that when it happens, guys. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching the Oscars with us. And we may have had a bumpy road, but it's very fitting for this kind of chaotic award season. So I'm glad we were able to pull it all off for you guys. And yeah, here's to a great road to Oscars 2026.
We'll try and get more guests for season 5 too.
Oh yeah, we will for sure. I've already got some guests lined up in store for next season, so should be an exciting time for sure. But we will see you all next time, guys. Until then, stay golden and keep on watching those movies and go with the flow.